I think he's got an MBA, doesn't he? And he's proposing that employers who currently hire minimum wage people jack up the minimum wage to $12 temporarily. I'd love to know whether when Mitt Romney was running Bain Capital, he increased the wages of the lowest paid people to a higher minimum wage because, it's just... Another person I've been seeing a lot on cable, on CNN especially, has been the mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti. You know why? Because, of course, he's a liberal. But he can sling the BS like Mayor Pete, like Obama. He can tell you he's going to tax, he's going to spend, he's going to regulate, and after he's done, you'll still be smiling. That's how good he is. Speaking of the minimum wage, several years ago, I get a letter from an El Dorado. It says, Larry, Mayor Eric Garcetti is preparing to sign an increase of the minimum wage to $12. He invited all of us who run small businesses in for a private meeting, about 30 or 40 business people, he said. And he said, we all brought in our profit and loss statements to show him how thin our margins were and what would happen if he jacked up our cost of doing business, and our primary cost is labor. He said, entrepreneur after entrepreneur told the mayor why raising the minimum wage to $12 was a bad idea. He said the mayor listened dutifully. And by the way, this is a man, the mayor, who went to London School of Economics. Unfortunately, he didn't major in economics. He majored in ethnic studies, but you would have thought just by osmosis he might have picked up something, but apparently he didn't. So the mayor listens intently to all these people as they complain about his proposed plan to increase the minimum wage to $12. And he stands up, buttons his coat, and says, well, I think you can absorb the cost. And he signed the bill. This is how this city is run. This is how this state has been run. This is why the state pension plans are underfunded to the tune of maybe something close to $1 trillion. $1 trillion. Underfunded pension plans. And this is why we're here. Now, I'm watching a program on MSNBC, and the host said one of the benefits of this coronavirus is we're seeing how generous people are. We're seeing how people come together. We're seeing how people help other people. And my reaction was, where have you been? You mean you're surprised that liberals are stepping up? What do I mean by that? I've told you about this book called Who Really Cares, written by a man named Arthur C. Brooks. And he was a public policy professor at Syracuse University and had an idea to do some research on who's more generous, liberals or conservatives, Republicans or Democrats. He found out there was no one who had ever done any research on this. He just assumed, of course, that the answer would be Democrats are more generous with their time, with their money. Liberals are more generous with their time and their money. After all, conservatives are selfish, only care about money. So he did an extensive study. And he said he had to check and recheck his data because he didn't believe the conclusion. It seemed counterintuitive. And he found out that religious people give far more money than do non-religious people. And it turns out that in the Democratic Party, there are far fewer religious people than there are in the Republican Party. And that accounts for the difference. It turns out that conservatives give far more money and give far more of their time than do liberals. And the primary reason is conservatives tend to be more religious. Liberals tend to be more secular. And the difference between the giving by religious person, secular person, night and day. More on this when we come back.